wisdom,
prudentia,
justice,
justitia,
temperance,
temperantia,
courage.
fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Stoicism has four cardinal virtues: justice, temperance, wisdom, and courage. Courage, or fortitude, is the ability to do the right thing even when times are tough, even when it's scary, the ability to stick with something even when it's the hard thing to do. Without fortitude, without courage, we cannot be just, wise, or temperate. All of the Stoic virtues interlock together like a keystone in an arch, and if you remove one of them, the entire thing collapses. Today we will hear from the three late Stoics: Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus, and each of them will talk about courage in some form or another. The thoughts of Marcus Aurelius, a paraphrase of chapter 7, verse 7. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. It is your business to do your duty like a soldier that is assaulting a town. If you are wounded, how can you make the attack on your own without the help of others? The Discourses by Epictetus. Chapter 1, paragraph 6. What then should a man have in readiness in such circumstances? What else, then, what is mine and what is not mine, and permitted to me and what is not permitted to me? I must die. Must I then die lamenting? I must be put in chains. Must I then also lament? I must go into exile. Does any man then hinder me from going with smiles and cheerfulness and contentment? Tell me the secret which you possess. I will not, for this is in my power. But I will put you in chains. Man, what are you talking about? Me in chains? You may fetter my leg, but my will not even Zeus himself can overpower. I will throw you into prison. My poor body, you mean? I will cut your head off. When, then, have I told you that my head alone cannot be cut off? These are the things which philosophers should meditate on, which they should write daily, in which they should exercise themselves. Moral Letters to Lucilius by Seneca, number 67, on ill health and endurance of suffering. Number 3 through 4. You ask me whether every good is desirable. You say, if it is good to be brave under torture, to go to the stake with a stout heart, to endure illness with resignation, it follows that these things are desirable. But I do not see that any of them is worth praying for. At any rate, I have yet as to know of no man who has paid a vow by reason of having been cut to pieces by the rod, or twisted out of shape by the gout, or made taller by the rack. My dear Lucilius, you must distinguish between these cases. You will then comprehend that there is something in them that is to be desired. I should prefer you to be free from torture, but if the time comes, when it must be endured, then I shall desire that I may conduct myself therein with bravery, honor, and courage. Of course I prefer that war should not occur, but if war does occur, I shall desire that I may nobly endure the wounds, the starvation, and all that the exigency of war brings. Nor am I so mad as to crave illness, but if I must suffer illness, I shall desire that I may do nothing which shows lack of restraint, and nothing that is unmanly. The conclusion is not that the hardships are desirable, but that the virtue is desirable, which enables us to patiently endure hardships. In the first reading, Marcus Aurelius displays both wisdom and courage. He tells us that we need to be brave enough to ask for help when we need it. This connects bravery along with the notion that humans are a political animal, a societal animal. We depend on others. We can't pretend to be able to do it all on our own. If we are wounded in battle, we can't win the battle. We need to ask for help in order to win the battle. We need to have help from our neighbors, from our friends. We are social animals, and we have to have the courage to say, hey, I need help. And in order to do that, you have to be wise enough to know to ask for it. Epictetus encourages us to have fortitude in the face of what to others may look like evil. He says, if I must go to exile, or if I have to be killed, do I have to go with a frown on my face? Maybe I can go with a smile on my face. That's something that's up to you. Whether you're being exiled or put to death, that is not in your power, but how you deal with it is in your power. He knows that you can throw his body in jail, you can chain up his legs, but you can't chain up Epictetus. His will, his power of choice, is always in his power. And because of that, he can find the fortitude, the bravery to stand up against his accusers, just like Socrates does during his trial. Seneca reminds us that the times that we need courage are usually not the times of our choosing, but situations are beyond our power. But how we respond to them, once again, is in our power. If we have the fortitude, if we have the courage to display virtue during trying events, then that is a true good, a good that has arisen in the face of evil. Or at least in the face of a preferred indifferent, right? Or a dispreferred indifferent. At least a good that has arisen in the face of a dispreferred indifferent. True good and evil are in our choices. And even in a rough situation, good can arise if we display virtue. Now, there are two examples of Stoic fortitude or bravery that are often brought up in the writings, especially of Seneca. And I haven't covered them in this podcast, but I just want to bring them up real quick. One is Cato. Cato was a Roman statesman, and he was dedicated to the idea of the Roman Republic. And when Julius Caesar took power, he fought against Caesar. Eventually, his army was defeated. And Caesar at the time was being pretty generous. He didn't want to have a revolution against him, so he was giving pardon to his enemies. And Cato probably could have got off scot-free if he had just surrendered to Caesar, maybe, kissed his ring or whatever the thing to do at the time was to ask for forgiveness. But Cato was defeated. He was about to be captured by Caesar's armies. And what did he do? He grabbed his sword and he basically disemboweled himself, killing himself so that he would not fall into the hands of Julius Caesar. Often the Stoics refer to the sword of Cato as being the device that led to his fame and that proved that he practiced what he preached. To Cato, living under the rule of a tyrant was an evil, and he would not allow himself to do it. Another individual that comes up from time to time in Stoic discussions is Gaius Mucius Scaevola. Seneca often just refers to him as Mucius. He was a young Roman youth, probably teenager or something, around 500 BC. This is before Stoicism even existed. And Rome was at war with the Etruscans, I think. And this boy was sent into the camp. Mucius was sent into the camp to kill the king of the enemy. It just so happened that another member of the king's staff was dressed quite a bit like the king. It was nighttime. Couldn't see very well with the firelight and the torchlight in the camp, and Mucius killed the wrong man. And the king captures this boy, and says, basically, you've tried to kill me, now I'm going to kill you. And the boy says, you can kill me, but there will be 1,000 other Romans willing to take my place and to kill you. So Mucius says, my body means nothing to me. We Romans are brave. I'll show you how brave we are. And he shoves his hand into the sacrificial fire which was burning in the camp. and he basically chars his right hand terribly, and probably would have been willing to leave it there, but I think the Etruscans pull him out of the fire, and his hand is totally mutilated and unusable. And that impresses the king so much that he allows the boy to live. And in the future, his family earns the moniker Scaevola, so his name becomes Gaius Mucius Scaevola. I guess Scaevola means something like lefty or left-handed, which I think he earned some farmland and things for his bravery. But that is brought up as well many times in Stoicism, that Scaevola so disregarded his own physical well-being to show bravery to the enemy, he just completely burned off his right hand just to prove a point. So those are two Romans that the Stoics often bring up in reference to bravery or fortitude. All right, that's enough for this week. Thank you for joining the Sunday Stoic podcast. Make sure to email the show. You can also join as a patron, and just keep listening. Appreciate it. By the way, if you're just starting out listening to the podcast, early episodes, of course, are going to sound rougher than later episodes. I had to re-record this episode because of some data loss, and listening to it, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm still not perfect, but we have improved the quality of the show as things go on. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Carpe diem.
Thank you for listening to the Sunday Stoic. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review the Sunday Stoic on iTunes. Become a member of the Sunday Stoic team, earn rewards, and be an integral part of the show by becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Contact the show by emailing sundaystoic@gmail.com or by leaving a voicemail at 501-503-3132. To find out more, visit www.sundaystoicpodcast.com. And as Steve always says, Carpe Diem.